Hello everybody. Hey, hi, hello, welcome back. My name is Katie and today I want to ask the question, is BookTube dying? I don't have a mug today. I have water in my water bottle. Sorry if you were expecting a mug. Don't have one today. Within the last couple of months, there have been a handful of creators that I follow on this platform talk about their transition away from BookTube, kind of. Specifically, there were three that I noticed did it around the same time. The first one was Catherine Reads. The second was iLivy for Books, or iLivy Books. I can't remember what her old channel name was now. Specifically, Olivia and Catherine made videos of taking the bookish part out of their channel name. So now Catherine Reads is just Catherine and iLivy Books is iLivy Simone. And in this video they expressed their want to branch out from bookish content and not just be booktubers specifically anymore. It is editing Katie, and you will be seeing a lot of me in this video. I was planning to refilm it, but I had a family emergency and had to go home for a funeral, so I don't have time to refilm this entire video. So I will be popping in to clarify some points that I am trying to make, but do not successfully make in this video. And right now I just wanted to say that I will leave links to Catherine and Livy's channel down below. I am still 100% enjoying their content and they still are doing bookish videos. They are just mixing in some alternative concepts as well. So please check them out if you get the time. They are fantastic. Then once I started looking and kind of thinking about this, I noticed there are some other creators that are doing similar things. And also there have been some larger creators within the past year that have stopped uploading. So all of this combined had me thinking about BookTube as a community and wondering if BookTube is dying. This is a question that circulates probably every couple of months, if not at least once a year, where people feel like BookTube is not going anywhere or growing at all, or people are starting to leave the community. So to start off, I kind of want to define BookTube based off of some web searches that I saw. So according to Wikipedia, BookTube is a book-specific subset of the YouTube community. The BookTube community has, to date, reached hundreds of thousands of viewers worldwide. While the majority of booktubers focus on young adult literature, many address other genres. BookTube videos also generally follow a set of formats often drawn upon the wider bookish culture and lexicon. There is a distinct set of recognizable faces within BookTube, as well as some content created by the publishing community. BookTube is often used to advertise new publications and is cited as a source of growth for the publishing industry. So that is straight the first paragraph from the Wikipedia page. And then in an article according to Huffington Post, BookTube is the unofficial name given to a collection of YouTube channels that discuss all things bookish. Each day, thousands of online creators or booktubers share videos about books they love and hate, literacy, fandom, and being generally crazy for reading. According to my Google searches, in order to be a booktuber, you have to post only about books. That's kind of the vibe that you are seeing. Later down in the Wikipedia page, it says, BookTube, rather than a collection of disparate videos, is often considered a community of video makers and watchers with its own culture. There is a shared vocabulary largely drawn from the wider bookish community, intertextuality whereby booktubers react and respond to other booktubers, common traditions, and some broadly shared values. So based off of that definition, do you have to only solely 100% post about books in order to consider yourself a booktuber? I mean, based off of that definition, yeah, you have to 100% solely make bookish videos in order to be a booktuber. However, I would argue that you don't, and I would argue that this definition of booktube is really too rigid, and I think that definition contributes to why people are feeling like either A, booktube is dying, or B, they want to leave the booktube community and expand on their other interests. So why do we feel the need to have this specific definition of BookTube? I think it's natural to categorize people into specific things, especially on the internet, and there is certain expectations of the audience when you come into BookTube. You are going to be making videos solely about books, and that's why people subscribe. Once you categorize yourself a certain way, or people categorize you a certain way, it's more difficult to break out of that mold and that rhythm, and I don't think the YouTube algorithm supports that either, which is a whole other conversation. So why are people feeling the need to distance themselves from BookTube in the first place and change their channel names in order for them to create some different content? First off, I do want to say I think it's natural to grow creatively, and YouTube in itself is a creative process. Even if you are just sitting down and doing sit-down videos, I consider this a creative process. Even though I don't have flashy editing, or, you know, it's pretty simple stuff overall, but I use this as a creative outlet. And I think naturally when you make videos or doing something creatively for so long, it's natural to grow and want to explore different avenues. So I did end up watching some videos, some Is BookTube Dying videos of other people doing the BookTube Real Talk tag, as well as some Why I Left BookTube videos, why I'm leaving, etc. And there were a lot of different reasons why people wanted to leave BookTube or expand or grow, etc. And there were a lot of different reasons within those videos why people were leaving or why they left in the first place. But one common thread was the pressure. The internal pressure to do BookTube was just too much for them. And I definitely can see that, especially if we are thinking back to our rigid definition of BookTube that I read to you from the Wikipedia page. Having a books or reads in your channel name, you are presenting yourself as a booktuber. So audience is coming to you with certain expectations. And I think changing that gives the YouTuber a little more freedom. I know personally, I thought, and my Twitter and Instagram handles are Books of Katie, and I thought about doing that for my YouTube name, but I ended up going with Thoughts of Katie because I wanted the freedom to do some different kinds of videos if I didn't always want to do bookish videos. It's more of a mental thing in my opinion. However, I think it can be really hard to make that leap to doing non-bookish content if it's all you've ever known and if it's all your audience has ever known. And I think changing the channel name just helps reinforce that idea that you aren't going to be doing just bookish content anymore. Because we do see, and I'll talk about that in a second, we do see evidence that non-bookish videos don't perform as well as bookish videos in some cases. We do see a little bit of evidence here, just looking at two of the probably biggest English-speaking booktubers on the platform, A Clockwork Reader and Haley in Bookland, have both recently made respective videos that have nothing to do with books, one of them about BTS and one of them about makeup, and they have significantly lower views than the bookish videos on their channels. So I think this can contribute back to the pressures that I was talking about. If people primarily leave BookTube, or one of the reasons why they leave BookTube that I saw was the pressure that they put on themselves. But I also think that if you're trying to branch out creatively and do some different stuff, but those videos aren't performing well, you are then pressuring yourself to make content that maybe you aren't as inspired to make, and that can be really, really draining. BookTube is a lot of work, and a lot of things go into making bookish videos. There are some videos that you can make that are relatively low effort. I'm not saying every single video is heaps and heaps of work, but relative to other communities, a lot of effort is put into the channel because you have to not only make videos, but you have to be reading as well. It just takes quite a lot of time to do bookish content on a regular basis. Another layer to this conversation is when you are making substantial money, of which I don't know anything about. I'm not a monetized channel, but if you are making substantial money from your YouTube videos, then switching up your content and getting less less views can be a big hit to your earnings. So I can see why that would be frustrating for you to feel pigeonholed based on the need to, you know, continue to make money with it, whether it's a full-time or part-time job for you, but the desire to move on creatively. Can there be successful YouTube channels that talk about books but also are not in the rigid definition of BookTube? Yes.
This is really interesting because I think it does come back to that first definition of BookTube that I spoke about at the very beginning. And I'm not sure how many people, if I asked them, you know, define BookTube, if they would say that exact definition. But I do know that at the beginning, when I first started BookTube and started consuming bookish content, I would have said something very similar to what was in the Wikipedia page. But when you start to dig into the community a little bit more, you realize there's so much more out there. Like simply just that sentence about being mostly focused on YA, I would greatly refute that. I think, yes, some of the bigger creators in this community talk about YA, but there are also a ton of people that focus on nonfiction, that read adult books, that read mixed, that read middle grade. And I think it's important to expand that definition of BookTube and change it so that we become a more inclusive community, and then maybe people won't feel that internal pressure that they're talking about and feel the need to leave the community or feel hesitant to branch out and do other types of content.
I also think that anyone who makes a video on books can be a part of this community. I don't want to be super rigid with my definition of BookTube. If you want to make a couple videos about your favorite books or books of the year, then go for it. I don't know. I just think it's really interesting when people feel like they are tied to a certain type of content. And I just wanted to dig into some of the reasoning why people are interested in changing their content and distancing themselves from BookTube. By no means are the people that I've talked about not making bookish videos anymore. They are, but they're also making other content. And I think if you are making content that you're happy about, then that is going to shine through and people eventually are going to be happy with that as well. So did I answer the question? Is BookTube dying? Well, in my opinion, no, I don't think BookTube is dying. There are new people coming onto the platform every single day, even though there are people leaving. And I think that is the case with every single community. People are going to try out BookTube and figure out it's not for them and leave. New people are going to come in and really thrive and love it. And there are going to be older creators that just get burnt out or move on or figure something else that they want to do and they move on. I don't think BookTube is dying by any means. I honestly think BookTube is just getting more creative and getting started. I'm seeing new and different ideas every single day and I am so excited about it.
BookTube isn't dying, it's just evolving and changing and growing, and all of those things are really great for the community in my opinion.
And I actually feel like I have found so many more creators upon my return to BookTube in 2020. I left in August of 2019 and came back in November of 2020, and I feel like I've found so many new creators. So to me, BookTube is not dying, it is growing. I will actually leave a link to some of my absolute favorite creators on the platform right now. Please check them all out. They are incredible and deserve a chance. And I think that's where I want to leave this video. So let me know if you think I answered the question. Do you think BookTube is dying? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Let's have a discussion. And leave a like on this video if you want to. Subscribe if you want to as well. You don't have to. I am just happy that you are here and I will leave you there. Bye.